Welcome, everyone, to Arizona 2025, Establishing Our Economic Recovery Strategies. We're excited to have you all with us today. We're going to be having a fantastic, brief, but robust conversation around how Arizona is planning and actually executing remarkable strategies for recovery from some of the most difficult, in fact, the most difficult challenges many of us have seen in our lifetime, whether it's pandemic or economic strife. We're having layers of challenges that are creating difficulties, but also opening doors of opportunity. So we have a fantastic panel today. I'd like to give an introduction to our panelists here. First, we have Leah Marquez Peterson. She is an Arizona Corporation Commissioner and President of Marquez Peterson Group. She was appointed to the Arizona Corporation Commission by Governor Doug Ducey in May of 2019. In addition, she's been an entrepreneur in our community for many years and served as the president and CEO of the Tucson Hispanic Chamber from 2009 until 2018. Welcome, Leah. Thank you for being here.
Well, thank you, Kimber.
And next up, we have Julie Pastrick. She is the president and CEO of the Greater Flagstaff Chamber of Commerce, which is the largest rural chamber in Arizona, representing more than 1,000 business members and organizations. She also formed in 2018 the Northern Arizona Chamber of Commerce Association, which is a 501c6 organization comprised of 18 different chambers in 7 counties, which enhances the economic vibrancy in rural Arizona. Welcome, Julie.
Thank you, Kimber. I'm happy to be here.
You bet. And then standing in for Sandra Watson today, we have Mr. Keith Watkins. Keith is the Senior Vice President of Economic and Rural Development at the Arizona Commerce Authority. In addition, he serves as the Vice Chairman of the Water and Infrastructure Finance Authority, which is a public bonding authority that works with Arizona communities and publicly regulated water and wastewater companies to develop, acquire, and expand water-related projects. He plays a vital role in advising the ACA and the Governor's Office on rural economic development issues and opportunities. Welcome to you, Keith.
Thank you, Kimber.
Absolutely. So let's get right into it here. I'd like to start with a question that talks about Arizona's position in the region, in the broader region, in economic recovery. And I wonder, what do you think is Arizona's unique position and contribution to that regional recovery? Let's go ahead and start with you, Leah.
Sure. Thanks, Kimber. I think we're in an interesting position. I mean, we have had, as Arizonans, continued population growth. It's been very steady. We have a population of over 7 million people. And I know in the last years, I've been traveling around the state as a corporation commissioner, met a lot of people who just recently moved here from California. So I think we are going to continue to see that growth. We also have a real opportunity with the diversity of our population, with more than 31% being Hispanic, as well as other cultures that are represented here. And that's more than 2 million people in the state. I think we're all aware, all 4 of us on this panel, that small business has really been the backbone of Arizona and really is our strength in Arizona. It's also one of the most challenged areas that we have during this economic recovery. There are over 570,000 small businesses in our state, employing more than 1 million people. But I know as each of us in our communities are out and about, safely as we can during coronavirus, we are just seeing so many small businesses that are closed up or really struggling to recover. And I'm sure Julie and Kimber, you will talk to also kind of the rural versus the urban challenges we face. From a corporation commissioner perspective, we regulate the utility industry. I think we've got great opportunity and we're uniquely positioned because of our energy market, which is more than $15 billion a year in the state of Arizona. And there's a real opportunity there for businesses throughout the state.
All right, excellently. And you make some wonderful points. The rural and urban approach oftentimes needs to be a different approach, right? We have such unique assets. Keith, what are your thoughts?
Well, to build upon what Leah has said, Arizona is well positioned to lead the economic recovery in the region. unlike some of our neighboring states, Arizona never really fully shut down our economy, which has enhanced our position. Our regional strength is emphasized also by the U.S. Census data showing that Arizona leads the Western U.S. in income growth, which is a key indicator. Median household income rose by 15.2% over the last 3-year period. That's the highest among Western and Mountain states, and also higher than Texas and Florida. Last year, Arizona personal income rose by 5%, which is also the 5th strongest growth in the nation. So those are real indicators, which are also buoyed by our ranking in the top 3 states for economic momentum, as ranked by Site Selection Magazine, which is a key trade industry publication for the economic development industry. So this tells us that Arizona is weathering the storm quite well compared with a lot of our neighboring states in the region.
Excellent. And if you're just joining us, you are more than welcome to leave us any questions at any time, and I will get to those as we go through our questions here. Again, welcome. I'm Kimber Lanning with Local First Arizona. And let's move into our second question now. Julie, I'd like to start with you. Can you share a recent success story that makes you feel optimistic about Arizona's economic future?
Thank you very much, Kimber. Yes, there's a lot to be optimistic about. And basically, I think part of our optimism does revolve around the fact that before the pandemic, we were in a tremendously positive situation. We were one of the best states to do business in. We had an incredible income growth. Our numbers on a national scale were just the envy of so many. So, it kind of takes a whole lot to bat us down. And one of the best stories of success I'd like to relate is that in rural Arizona, just through an incredible amount of communicating and understanding how the financial aid could be dispersed and who could get it when, we have these incredible numbers of more than $8 billion in PPP having been delivered and more than 85,000 businesses of all sizes receiving that money really kept us afloat. And then, of course, $9 billion was passed through in the form of our pandemic unemployment. So for a while there, we all kind of felt the businesses and employers were getting well taken care of, and that trickled down for many. But as you know, hard times in certain sectors have been very hard to overcome. However, I think part of our success story too revolves around Governor Ducey's ability to declare many sectors of the economy as essential. So we didn't really quote unquote collapse because we had 1 or 2 sectors. We knew that manufacturers and healthcare and finance and service professionals, all veterinarians, they were all deemed as essential and could remain open. So what we found in the outcome was construction is our bright light, that it is a success story in rural Arizona. There are a tremendous amount of infrastructure projects ongoing. There are residential, commercial projects that are keeping the economy humming, while so kind of sort of in balance, so that we're not all like this. We're able to keep those construction revenues in the bank and in the city coffers. Our builders are building as fast as they can, but and great jobs are being provided in the industry, but we still have more work to do. And then I think a good success story is the incredible success of the auto industry, and with the low rates, the real estate market. Both of them have soared to levels that most of us never really thought. You're locked in your home, and is really the real estate market going to soar to the point where you can't find a home, or you're in competition with 5 others? So those are my off the top of my my head comments, and I believe we're still poised, all of us on this conference call and everybody in this room, for great financial policies and business rules and regulations that are going to speed our recovery over other states. Thank you.
Great, thanks, Julie. Leo, what are your thoughts on some positive outlook?
Yeah, thanks, Kimber. And I agree with Julie. I mean, your comments on the real estate market, Julie, are right on. It is very hot right now. I think things are moving quite rapidly, and it's interesting to watch because we know Arizona's growth has really built so much in the real estate market. What also comes to mind is my role as a corporation commissioner is that we regulate not only the utility industry, but we also incorporate the businesses in the state. So everyone who might be listening now who has their own businesses come through the Arizona Corporation Commission to be incorporated. We average right now around 6,000 or 7,000 a month. And during this pandemic in April and May, we dropped to 2,000 to 3,000 a month in terms of incorporation. We're back up to, I think, our regular trend, which has been interesting. That's very encouraging. I'm optimistic that a lot of people, I hear the word out there, are pivoting, and I think that's what they're doing, is recreating their business and structuring things in a different way so they can survive in these tough times and as the economy recovers. I'll also mention that as a commissioner, we have a lot of debates around energy rules. And the future of Arizona's energy, and a hot market in Arizona is certainly solar. My belief is that we should be the solar capital of the nation someday, and we're close to that, right along the top. One wonky kind of rule that we've made in a vote we had recently was on PURPA, which is the Public Utility Regulatory Act, which required our utilities to offer contracts of up to 18 years versus 2 years. So this all happened right before the pandemic. And at the time, I know I talked to Keith a bit about it too, it's a huge opportunity for rural Arizona and for the solar industry around our state. I'm sure that a lot of that development and investment slowed down because of the pandemic, but I'm really hopeful that we'll see even more solar development, since Arizona has really put itself out there as having very attractive contract lengths for people interested in investing in our state.
Excellent points, Leah. And I love your reference to rural there, because it is so important that as we're thinking about economic recovery, we're looking for every opportunity to benefit and include rural in those strategies. And I know all three of you are big advocates of rural. So that leads us into our next question. Our rural communities often do have limited resources. How would you recommend allocating resources for maximum effect to expedite economic recovery in rural? And Julie, this is really an area of your expertise. Let's start with you.
I'd be glad to, Kimber. And then Keith, I'd like to toss it to you to add to, since you're our rural business coordinator at ACA. I just want everybody to know, as president and CEO of the Greater Flagstaff Chamber, we've been on the front lines for rural in very large ways, statewide, not only just in this northern tier. And it began with Governor Ducey's group that was trying to open safely and recover quicker and stronger. But the backup support for businesses in all sectors, whether that be advocacy, public policy support, marketing platforms, it has been all inclusive. And through this organization, NACA, 18 chambers in 7 rural counties, we've just made a complete commitment to increased communication. So I have 3 areas that I'll briefly touch upon. And the first one is housing. And I think we all need to adapt a bit to understand that there are a lot of people in urban areas right now that are gravitating, and I don't know 100% if it's due to the pandemic, but some of it is, to a new lifestyle in rural communities, because this working from home and being able to be successful is being embraced by many, and therefore rural communities with a more isolated, quiet, peaceful lifestyle stand to benefit from these new home buyers. And so we need the support of our municipalities to focus our resources, their resources, on creating fewer barriers to growth and to promote private developers to increase our supply, so that we're a little more nimble when it comes to some moving into the rural communities. So housing has always been a concern. It's always a little more expensive than some of the urban areas, but we can work together to make sure our private sector builders are increasing in great ways the supply that we don't have yet.